Welcome, 10 minutes to meaning. Please have some coffee and donuts. Big thank you to our generous sponsor of the year, Jeffrey Gelb, in memory of Meshulman and David, Shendel Bas David, Avner ben Avram HaKohen. Welcome back to Mesillas Yesharim, the great Ramchal. R Moshe Chaim Luzzatto has been helping us chart a course towards a better us, a better version of ourselves, step by step, following the great formula of Rav Pinchas ben Yair, how we can incrementally, systematically improve ourselves, become a better version of ourselves by being mindful and conscientious and present, by being zealous and having an energy and an enthusiasm and zeal through all these different attributes. We've been going one by one. We've been learning about the midah of chasidus, how to be a chassid. To be a chassid is to be righteous. To be righteous means to not be satisfied with good, but to strive for great, to always go above and beyond. We spoke about it in the form of ava and yira, how to be a chassid, how to go and strive for great in the realm of love of Hashem, and yira, to recoil with a sense of awe, to be makiris mikomenu, to see our place, to stay in our lane, and to know who we are in contrast to Hashem. And then the Ramchal, R Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, has moved over to 3 different branches of being a chassid. And he's spoken so far about, number 1 is dvekas, how to cling to God, how to cleave to God. Those difficult moments where we feel despair, hopeless and helpless, even in the moments of great height, where we feel joy and breakthrough, to connect and to cling and to attach ourselves to Hashem. Dvekas milashon devek. Mashiach Chachma says to glue ourselves to God, to attach ourselves, and to know He has our back, and to glue ourselves to God. Second midah is simcha, is joy. We spent a lot of time talking about what it means to have this midah of simcha, this midah of joy, and the Ramchal spelled out for us that it's not that if you do a mitzvah b'simcha, if you do a mitzvah without simcha, you get the mitzvah. You just don't get the check mark next to simcha. But if you do the mitzvah and you lack simcha, if you live a religious life, you live a rich Jewish life, if you do it sad and somber and miserable and farbissina, then it's as if you didn't do the mitzvah. It's not that you did the mitzvah, you get a check for the mitzvah, you just don't get a check for doing it joyously. But if we lack the joy for life, it's as if you didn't even do the mitzvah. And then he says something amazing. This is what we're up to. ודוד לפי שראה ישראל בעיסס נתנדבם בניין הבית שכבר הגיעו למעלה הזאת התפלל עליהם שתזכיהם המידה הטובה בהם ולא תסור. David HaMelech, when he saw the enthusiasm, the energy, and the joy of the Jewish people for the building of the Beis HaMikdash, for dedicating and donating to that cause, when he saw that happiness, he offered a tefillah, he offered a prayer. And you know what that prayer was? שתזכיהם המידה הטובה בהם Velo tasur. He davened and he said, this moment, everyone's so happy. There's so many smiles. There's such high energy. I daven that never dissipate and that never dilute, that never disappear. David HaMelech davened to capture and to bottle that joy, that simcha, that happiness, that enthusiasm, that fervor, that passion. If you were at our Sudas Mashiach on Pesach, you saw excitement and fervor and joy, singing and dancing and standing on chairs. If we could bottle it and capture it. Now, what does that tell us? Don Segel in his wonderful new parish on Mesillas Yesharim, the Mashkiach writes, what does that tell us? If David HaMelech davened for it, if David davened for it, it means it's fleeting. It means it's transient. We don't daven for the things that we feel are permanent. We daven for the things that we anticipate struggling with. We daven for that which we think is short-lived and might disappear. So David looked and observed and felt, wow, look at this joy and this happiness and this enthusiasm. Please, Hashem, let it continue. Let it never disappear. May we always have a smile on our face. What that means is David anticipated and he feared that it would be fleeting. You also see from here, says the Mashkiach, that you have to daven for midos. You don't just daven for parnasa. You don't just daven for gesund, for good health. You don't just daven the Yankees stay in first place. You don't just daven for this list of important things. You have to daven for midos tovos. When you daven in the morning, some have just finished, some are about to daven, on that list of things to ask for is, Hashem, let me be happy. Let my spouse and children be happy. Let those around me feel happy. Let me concentrate. Let me allow myself to feel happy. We daven not only for the external things that we think are outside of our control. May the parnasa flow and may I be successful in whatever initiative or endeavor I'm undertaking today. We don't only daven for the things that we think are outside of our control and we need His help. We daven for our own midos. Hashem, let me have Yiras Shamayim today. Hashem, I might have a difficult dilemma. Let me make the right choice. Hashem, let me feel b'simcha. Going through a tough time, it's a challenging time, or I don't feel great, or I haven't had a lot of sleep, or I'm stressed out, or I'm anxious. Let me break through with a simcha sachayim. Let me feel simcha. And you see that, and we learn that from David HaMelech himself, who learned and lived in this way. This is what the pasuk says in Divrei Hayamim. V'ata amcha nimtzu po reisi b'simcha l'snadcha lach. Hashem lokei avram yitzchak v'Yisrael b'sem Hashem azos li'olam liyetzer machshavos levav amecha v'achein levavam elecha. Behold, I've seen how your nation that is here joyfully contributed on your behalf. Hashem, God of Avram, Yaakov, our forefathers, preserve this forever. The working of your thought and heart of your nation, direct their hearts towards you. You see how important it is. The bigger something is, the more the Yetzer Hara works against it. Why is David HaMelech davening? What does the Ramchal here note? He says, the more you feel b'simcha, the more the Yetzer Hara is going to work and oppose and say, you said b'simcha? What are you so b'simcha about? You know what's going on in the world? You know what's going on in your life? What are you faking it? You really so b'simcha? You really so happy? Who are you kidding? You're anxious and you're worried and you're miserable and you're jealous and you're arrogant, you're angry. And who are you kidding? So the more that we are drawn towards a positive disposition, the more the Yetzer Hara kicks in. And the Yetzer Hara puts in our mind all these terutzim, levatal es hasimcha me'adam. There's all these terutzim. You're so happy, you're so full of joy, you have such a big smile. You slept 4 hours last night. Stop smiling. You know what you have in store today? Kids' report card. What are you smiling about? What are you smiling about? You know how much work? You know what the bills are coming in? You know what? What are you smiling? It's Sfira Sa'omer. Stop smiling. It's Sfira. Who are you to smile? There's no music. There's no joy. There's no simchas to go to. Enough with the smiling. Yetzer Hara will find whatever excuse, whatever reason to wipe that smile off your face. Which is why David HaMelech davened, that we have to push forward and press forward and not allow that to happen. We have to keep smiling, and the whole world smiles with you. What's the third branch? The third branch of being a chassid. Being a chassid can be about your external garb. Being a chassid can be about what nusach you daven. Being a chassid can be about whether you dip the matzah in the chicken soup or eat a matzah ball. But that's not for the Ramchal what chassidus is. The Ramchal what a chassid is, meaning above and beyond. Never being satisfied with good, but striving for great. And the third branch or area, the third application of greatness, who are kinna. Kinna. What is kinna? So kinna actually has double meaning. On the one end, one of the three things that remove a person from the world is kinna. Kinna means jealousy or envy. In that sense, kinna is a negative attribute. We're supposed to purge ourselves from kinna. But here the Ramchal is not talking about kinna in the form of envy or jealousy. Kinna is she'a'adam mekana l'Hashem kadsho. We're talking now about zealousness. Zealousness. Being a zealot. For whom should you be a zealot? For yourself? For your ego? For your honor? No, chas v'shalom. It's not what the Ramchal is talking about. So what is he talking about? L'shem kadsho. Being a zealot for Hashem. Sonei es misanav u'mishtadel la'achniam b'ma sheyuchal. Now this is a very delicate, a very nuanced application of loving Hashem. Living with zeal and zealousness and being a kanoi for Hashem. On the one hand, it's very dangerous, a double-edged sword. And a person needs an awesome responsibility in living it and applying it. It's super complicated. How do you know that you're lishma? How do you know you're really doing it for his honor, not yours? How do you know it's really what he wants you to be doing in that moment? On the other hand, so the application, ask your local rabbi. It's not a simple thing. Ask a shaila. If, when, who, why you should be a kanai. Let's be very, very clear about it. But the notion and the idea that we are defensive for Hashem, that if you love Hashem, you care about his values, his principles, his definitions, his vision for his world. Kadosh Baruch Hu should also be on our radar. So that we could serve Hashem, so that his honor is expanded. David says in Tehillim, those who hate you, I will hate. And those who rise up against you, I will confront. I hate them with the ultimate hatred. They become my enemies. In other words, if somebody would pick on or bully your child, if someone would declare your child to be their enemy, they would become your enemy. You'd be absolutely intolerant. You would never stand for a person violating your children. So what about Hashem Yisbarach? If you had a dear friend and you were a good friend, would you not stand up for your friend against a bully? Kadosh Baruch Hu is the ultimate friend that we have. Do we not care about his quote-unquote anthropomorphized feelings? Do we not care about his principles and values and definitions and what he stands for and what he believes and what he wants us to believe here in this world? We'll end with this Shla Kadosh. Shla Kadosh writes in Shara Osios, Im yav lachaveru ka'atzmo, the pasuk says, "V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha." You're supposed to love your neighbor, your friend, as yourself. Stand up for them, protect them, care about them. Kal v'chomer yav lakadosh baruch hu osa chesed chinam imo. Why do you love your friend? Because you connect to your friend, you admire your friend, you share values with your friend, you're appreciative and grateful to your friend. Is HaKadosh Baruch Hu any less of your friend? Whatever you would love a friend for, Kal v'chomer, all the more so you should love Hashem for many, 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 many times over. Hu Adon ha'olam. He is the master of the world. V'yado ha'ko yizbarach shemo. V'yahavta le'echa kamocha hu goren v'yahavta Hashem elokecha. You should feel Hashem is my ultimate friend. He's my most reliable, faithful, trustworthy friend. He's my greatest confidant in the world. So if I'd stand up for and I'd protect a friend, do I not do that for Hashem? So we'll continue to unpack this in the teachings of the Ramchal. But this third application of loving Hashem, of being a chassid for Hashem is, do you stand up for Hashem? Do you fold to the mores and the ethics of the time? Are we afraid by the culture and pop culture of the time? Or do we stand up to it and say, I'm like Avram was Avram ha'ivri. I'm willing to be on the whole other side. When the whole world's on that side, I'm willing to be on this side. Where it's become increasingly unpopular to say, I know what the difference is between a man or a woman, or the definition of marriage, that we say we know with sensitivity, with love, with warmth, with tolerance, with all of those important Jewish qualities as well. We understand monotheism. We understand honesty and truth. We understand integrity. And we understand basic definitions. And the HaKadosh Baruch Hu expects us to be his friend as he is ours. And when he is bullied by a world who are distorting, he wants us to stand up. We'll talk more about this. 8:45, Living with Emunah, tonight behind the Bima. Two incredible survivors reunited after almost 80 years of being apart. At 9 o'clock tonight,